The first health inspection came on a Thursday morning in November, 6 weeks after I opened. The inspector was a small, precise man named Gerald, who moved through my kitchen the way a surgeon moves through a procedure, methodical, unhurried, missing nothing. He checked temperatures and storage and surfaces and logs. He spent 2 hours going through everything. When he was done, he handed me a score of 96 out of 100, 4 points off for a refrigerator seal that needed replacing. He shook my hand, told me I ran a clean kitchen, and said he'd see me at the next scheduled inspection. "When's the next one?" I asked. "Typically 18 months, he said, "unless we receive a complaint." I smiled. I thanked him. I went back to my prep work. What I didn't know was that 11 more complaints were coming, one every 6 to 8 weeks for the next 14 months, all anonymous, all describing specific, serious violations that never existed. What I also didn't know, not yet, was that the voice on every single one of those calls belonged to my older sister, Vanessa. I found out eventually, and when I didn't get loud about it. I got methodical. Let me tell you about the restaurant first, because it's the point of everything. Its name is Opal. 40 seats, open kitchen, a menu that changes with the season because I believe food should taste like where it is and when it is. I'd been working toward it for 11 years. Line cook at 22, sous chef at 26, head chef at 29, executive chef at 32, then finally, terrifyingly, my own name on my own door at 34. I'd taken out a loan, I'd used my savings, I'd convinced 3 investors to come in based on a business plan I'd rewritten 9 times. I'd spent 4 months building out a space that had previously been a hardware store, keeping the original wood floors, adding a kitchen I designed down to the placement of every outlet. The first night of service, I cried in the walk-in freezer between courses, alone, because the weight of having done it finally had somewhere to go. Then I washed my face and went back out. Opal was good. The reviews were strong. Word spread. By month 3, we had a wait list on weekends. By month 4, a local food magazine ran a feature. Month 5 was when the complaints started. Here's what a false health complaint does to a restaurant if you don't know. It triggers an inspection. The inspection itself is not the problem. If your kitchen is clean, you'll score fine. The problem is time. An inspection means shutting down prep midstream, pulling your team off their work, spending 2 hours answering questions and opening every drawer, and justifying every procedure to someone with a clipboard. It's not ruinous on its own, but when it happens every 6 to 8 weeks, when you're in the middle of a dinner service rush and an inspector walks in because someone called that morning claiming they'd seen rodent activity in your storage room, it starts to cost you. It costs you in lost prep time, in staff morale, in the slow erosion of your investors' confidence, in the way a few food writers started noting, quietly, that Opal seemed to attract regulatory attention without quite saying what they meant by it. By month 8, I was hiring a food safety consultant just to document our compliance because I knew the complaints weren't real, but I had no way to prove it, and I needed a paper trail that showed we were doing everything right. That consultant cost me $2,200 a month. By month 11, I had lost one investor who cited operational instability. By month 12, I was refinancing to stay liquid. I was working 80-hour weeks and I was scared, and I didn't know who hated me enough to do this. I should have seen it earlier. Looking back, there were signs. Vanessa is 4 years older than me. Growing up, she was the one who cooked. She learned from our grandmother. She threw dinner parties in her 20s. She had the kind of natural instinct in the kitchen that fills a room with warmth and makes everyone feel fed in ways that go beyond food. I was the one who made it a career, who went to culinary school, who worked the hard years in professional kitchens while she built a life that included, eventually, a small catering company she ran out of our hometown, 2 hours south of the city where Opal stood. I had told myself we were proud of each other in different ways. I had told myself the distance between our paths was comfortable, not competitive. I had told myself a story, is what I'm saying. The signs I should have seen, the way she'd responded to Opal's opening with congratulations that arrived 3 days late via text, 4 sentences, no exclamation points. The way she'd visited once early on and spent most of the meal asking questions about my investors and my margins in a tone that felt more like due diligence than interest. The way she'd stopped calling much around month 4. Month 4 was when the complaints started. I didn't connect it then, I do now. I found out by accident, the way you find out most things that someone has worked hard to hide. A woman named Patricia worked the front of house at a restaurant 2 blocks from Opal. We'd become friendly the way neighboring restaurant workers do. Occasional borrowed supplies, wave when passing, that kind of thing. One evening, she stopped me on the sidewalk, looked uncomfortable, and said, "Can I tell you something that's probably none of your business?" I told her to please tell me. She'd been at a catering event 2 weekends ago. Vanessa's company had catered it. Patricia knew someone on the guest list. At some point during the evening, she'd overheard a conversation. Vanessa talking to someone Patricia didn't know, describing the health complaint process in very specific terms. How many times she called, what language she used to make the complaint sound credible, how she varied the timing. She was laughing about it, Patricia said. She looked genuinely pained. I'm sorry, I debated for 2 weeks whether to say anything, but I kept thinking about what it would do to me if someone was doing that to my place. I stood very still on that sidewalk. How many times did she say? I asked. Patricia thought. She said 11. I remember because she said it like it was something to be proud of. 11. I had had 11 inspections. I thanked Patricia. I walked back to Opal. I went into my office, sat down, and did not move for probably 15 minutes. Then I opened my laptop and I started looking into catering company licensing requirements. Here's what I knew about Vanessa's business that she didn't know I knew. She'd expanded 18 months ago. New commercial kitchen space, new equipment, bigger events. She'd been vocal about it on social media. Proud posts, before and after pictures, booking inquiries invited. What an expansion like that requires, in our state, is an updated commercial kitchen certification, a new health permit reflecting the change in facility, and compliance with food handler training requirements for any staff added during the expansion. These are public records. I spent 4 days going through them, carefully, methodically, the way my food safety consultant had taught me to read documentation, looking not for what was there, but for what should be there and wasn't. What should have been there and wasn't was the updated health permit for the new kitchen space. The application had been applied for, it had not been finalized. There was a documentation gap, a specific missing form that if the health department in her county were to made aware of it, would require them to inspect her facility before she could continue operating. She likely missed it in the chaos of expansion. It wasn't malicious on her end, probably, just an oversight. The kind of oversight that gets flagged when someone calls a regulatory body to mention it. I called her county's health department on a Tuesday morning. I did not give my name. I was calm, factual, and specific. I described exactly which documentation appeared to be incomplete. I referenced the public record of her permit application. I asked whether the department was aware of the gap. They were not aware. They thanked me for bringing it to their attention. They told me they would follow up with the facility directly. Vanessa called me 11 days later. I had been waiting for it. She skipped hello. Did you report me to the health department? Hi, Vanessa. Did you? I let a moment pass. I filed a concern about a documentation gap in your permit based on public records. That is, you have no idea what this is doing to me. I have 3 events this month and they're saying I can't. Vanessa, my voice was level. I want to ask you something, and I need you to think before you answer. She went quiet. How many times did you call the health department on Opal? A softer, very long silence. I don't know what you're talking about. 11, I said. The answer is 11. You said it yourself at the Harrington event 2 months ago. Patricia Yuan was there. She told me what you said. Nothing. You almost killed my restaurant. 11 anonymous complaints over 14 months. An investor pulled out. I nearly lost the building. I had a food safety consultant on retainer for a year because I thought I was doing something wrong, and I couldn't figure out what. Her breath on the line, ragged. She started. You were proud of it, I said. That's what Patricia told me. You were laughing. The silence that followed was different from the others, heavier. "I don't know why I did it," she said finally. Her voice had changed completely. The defensive edge was gone. What was left sounded like someone stepping out of a costume they've been wearing for a long time. "I think you do know," I said quietly. More silence. "You got everything," she said. It came out small and raw, and I believed it completely, not as an excuse, but as a truth she'd been carrying without looking at directly. "You went and did it, the real version, the big version, and everyone talked about you, Mom talked about you, and I was just—" She stopped. "Catering birthday parties," she finished. I let that sit. "Vanessa," I said after a moment, "you are the reason I cook. Do you understand that? Watching you cook at Grandma's house when I was